Hello everybody, it's Flynn here, and welcome to the Flying Circus. Keeping up with the schedule is another E3 roundup video, and this time is Xbox. Now, I must say that out of all the shows that were present at this year's E3, this one was probably the best. For starters, a thing that I would like to mention that really catch my eyes and ears and captured my attention was a full lineup of 60 games being shown, which is absolutely great, but not really. I know it sounds confusing, but just follow me. Now, the time for these shows is indeed limited, so not much to do when you have 60 games that you want to show, and the only solution being, of course, the power of montage, which was the exact approach taken by Xbox. And on that note, I cannot say that I am all for it, because it's not the best way of showcasing games, but it's not all that bad either. I'm really glad to see they have a lot of games to show, even if it's through the power of montage, because if it's not all of them, then most of them, I mean like 90%, are going to be indie games. And with that in mind, I'm really glad that even in such conditions, they can get some exposure at this level that they would not get otherwise. And in that case, they could get the attention of gamers that are going to prepare their wallets for them. Also, is worth mentioning the fact that will give more power to the indies. Since we're talking about Xbox, when it comes to games other than those indies that I just mentioned, we got plenty of that. Because we have seen games like Psychonauts 2 being announced, we have seen a brand new trailer for Borderlands 3. Ninja Theory actually made an announcement that they are part of the Microsoft family while bringing to the stage a brand new game that is called Bleeding Edge, which is a team-based online competitive game that looks a lot like Overwatch, but as a bit of a difference, it relies a lot on melee combat. We also got a very quick look at Ori and the Will of the Wisps, plus the Minecraft universe is going to be expanding even more with Minecraft Dungeon to come in the future, and in case it's not obvious, this is going to be the sort of dungeon crawler game, and it's going to look familiar because it's reminding me of the Diablo series. Moving away from the games for just a little bit, Microsoft announced a lot of new game titles that are going to come to their subscription service, plus they also announced a brand new Xbox controller, the so-called Elite 2, that is going to bring some improvements and updates to the probably most expensive peripheral used for gaming, and I'm saying that for the simple reason that the cost for the development of the original Xbox Elite controller was around $8 million. Now, one thing that is worth mentioning here, even if this is going to make the experience better, I don't know why exactly this is a real thing, unless it's going to be paired with Project Scarlet, because otherwise, if the next console is going to have a very different controller, announcing and launching another controller so close to the release of the next big piece of hardware is not exactly the best move. And since I mentioned Project Scarlet, yes, it is official as it can get, because it was revealed right at the end of the show, and it was a little bit tricky because right in the days before, Xbox sneaked in a couple of announcement videos with some weird codes that if you put all of them together, it gives you the chromatic code for, well, Scarlet. And what we know from the presentation is that the console will be ready to ship out on the holiday season of 2020, so the next year is looking pretty crowded. But we have a lot more to learn about the new generation. I mean, with this console, I don't think the name is going to stick, but we'll see about that because there's another E3 next year, and also Sony has a lot of catching up to do. And what Scarlett promises in this case to be is, in fact, the most powerful console on the market, promising to be 4 times more powerful than the current generation of Xbox One X, using a GDDR6 technology to power the games. Also on the list of cool things that they want to showcase is 8K capability plus 120 frames per second. Now, the catchy thing here is even if all of this sounds cool and groundbreaking, it's really going to depend on other pieces of technology, which is not exactly at the same level at the capabilities of this console. And even if it is, we're talking about spending here a ton of cash in order to get the full experience to the max. Also, another thing that is worth mentioning in this case is the fact that this new generation of console is going to use a brand new generation of SSD that can actually serve as visual RAM. But right before that, they are bringing this October xCloud to rival Google's Stadia, another game streaming service that uses the power of an existing console even if you do not own it. But for just a quick second back to Scarlett, it must be mentioned that is not going to be alone in the holiday season of 2020 because it's going to be paired with Halo. And yes, Master Chief, of course, is going to come back to showcase the power of this brand new console in Halo Infinite. Following this thread, we get back with another look at the games, and it's worth mentioning that a Blair Witch game is in the making, a LEGO expansion for Forza Horizon is set to be out, which I think is already out by the time of this video going live, and there is also 12 minutes, which is pretty interesting because it's an indie game that got me sold on the concept. I'm talking here about the concept of Groundhog Day, meaning a man trapped in a time loop with a very intricate story that poured tons of suspense into my brain just by one trailer. And also, the point of view being set from above really changes the perspective, which makes it even more thrilling. More on that note is that fans of the Gears franchise will rejoice because number 5 is actually going to be out pretty soon with the promise of the biggest campaign in the entire series, the opportunity to play as or with or against the Terminator, plus a co-op mode for 3 players that is called Escape. But in fact, what really caught the eye of everybody was Elden Ring, which is a brand new game from Software in the style of Dark Souls that comes together from the minds of Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin, which is already one thing that is going to blow your mind. Nothing really specific is known about this game, but in the trailer, other than just the name of the game itself, there are a couple of similarities between this game and Lord of the Rings, which is probably a fantasy of George R.R. Martin to be just like Tolkien, and now he is having the chance to do it. Plus, I really encourage this project since for me it feels like it's some sort of response to the team up between Del Toro and Kojima. But really, what was actually the most impressive part of all was, of course, Cyberpunk 2077. Not exactly for the showcase of the game itself, because we have seen more detailed things in the past, but for the simple reveal that Keanu Reeves is going to be in the game, because nowadays the whole of the internet is crazy about it. Even more, he was right there on the stage, and I got to say that it was awesome to watch the man having so much enthusiasm to be part of this project. That was indeed really breathtaking. And even more, Keanu gave us a little treat, announcing that the game that will be one of the best ever and most definitely a great classic of gaming will come out in spring of 2020, which, by the way, is already a crowded time. Now, all I can say about it is that I cannot wait for that game to come out. And with that being said, it's Flynn here, over and out.